Truck 17, come in.
Go ahead, Truck 17.
Primary complete.
Command Southeast, primary complete.
What's up, folks, and welcome to another episode of Primary Complete. Before we kick off the show, do us a quick favor. Like and subscribe. At the end of the show, if you enjoyed it, leave a quick comment. These simple little things make our platform more visible to folks who are looking for the type of show that we produce. For all of you who are constantly interacting with us on social media, talking about the show in your firehouses and with your friends, we can't say thank you enough for helping us build this awesome community. If you haven't yet, check out the social media. Search Primary Complete Podcast on Insta, Facebook, TikTok. Give it a quick like. We also got a website. Feel free to check that out. www.primarycompletepodcast.com. Thank you all once again. Enjoy the next episode and continue to help us make conversation
in
great.
any form. We go to the bank and they'll switch it out for ones and then band it.
Okay.
So he's got stacks of ones.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
I think I actually kind of do the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
like
want to see
smaller bills, and I want to see it.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's more.
it. Yeah.
This piece of shit camera. It's not the camera. It's the
No, it's me.
See me moving around on TV right now?
Look at that. Jesus Christ. Look at that. Cheese and rice. Did you ever know Francis and JT, Gerald? Did you ever know them?
I don't think so.
No, they lived over there off Toulon Drive, which was like
Yeah, Green Meadows, not Green
exactly
Meadows.
right,
but
Green Meadows
over
area.
there.
Yeah. They were the ones that like Francis was the one that used to watch me when I was a kid a lot or whatever, but I didn't know if you had ever run in any of those circles. They were like the quintessential Southern couple, you know what I mean? That they ended up, living until they died together in that old house on the brick house, ranch style house on Toulon or whatever. Just every time I hear somebody say Jesus Christ, JT always used to say cheese and rice, right? And you just don't hear
As
that
a
very
substitute?
much. And, yeah,
Yes.
Nice.
You don't hear it much anymore, like that old school stuff like that they used to say. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, bro. I added that angle. That's pretty cool. That one?
Oh, nice.
That's pretty neat. Yeah.
I figured out, Hoffman taught me this one, a conversation to be going, and it's on a path, and I'll have a thought. And if I don't make just
You got
something, then it's
you got
gone.
to.
Yeah. Our seminar, the Carolina Beach thing, I say seminar, conference. Conference.
Why did you think that I was awake that morning whenever you text me? Whenever y'all were having that conference, you were like, yeah, man, I saw that you're out and about, so if you get over this way, stop by. Why did you think that?
I saw you had posted I can't remember now. It seems like you were downtown or doing something. So that world is hidden. Like not many people, like even people that have been firefighters for 10 and 20 years have never attended one. And I think they're amazing. Like the talent that's around to teach, there's, especially that one, there's a lack of that condescending, I'm the fucking teacher.
Yeah.
Learn from me, kneel, all that. Like,
Bow down to me.
Yeah, that kind of that drill instructor mentality
Of
where it's
course.
like, blood up.
I'm familiar.
Yeah.
There's still some of that there. It's not with the big guys, the well-known people and all that kind of stuff. They're so incredibly humble and gracious to even still be. Because the fire service, dude, it's a weird place. Once you're done, like it's real close to the same as the military. So once you're done, it keeps rolling without you, and it forgets you and doesn't remember you. So it's like a piece that's torn away, and it's for a lot of guys, it can be super depressing. Like like surprised. Even when I take off work, and it's like, I'll go a week or so and won't get a text, won't get a phone call. It's like these guys don't even like me, do they? They do. They like me just fine, and they miss me. But it's just stuff's got to keep going.
Yeah,
got to keep rolling.
That was funny because whatever you saw, you had texted me before I'd even woke up that morning.
Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't even awake. Whenever I don't know what you saw or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing about social media is like you'll see something and you think that it's now, but it's not. It's not now. Like I was in my bed.
Yeah. Nice. Well,
rising.
You're welcome for the wake up call.
Yeah, I wasn't doing anything. You were saying before that other fella, you were saying he survives on like Mountain Dew and what was it, Marlboro Reds? Is that correct?
Brother Steve Snyder.
Yeah. Dude, I honestly Tila and I were just talking about this last night. Like, people always ask us, like, how do you guys stay skinny? Like, how are you staying? And to be honest, like, as I get older and older, it does get more difficult to stay lean. I won't say necessarily skinny. I could be skinny and have like a gut, right? Because it tries. But I think happiness is like a big part that people forget about. Like, if Marlboro Reds and Mountain Dew make that guy happy, and like he's constantly doing things that give his body, hey, this makes me feel good. There's something to that. Like, I don't understand it. There's got to be a science there, but the more I feel like the more, you know, I ingest whatever I want to, but if it makes me feel good, then I'll keep doing things. If I'm eating really healthy stuff that, you know, it just makes me feel like, okay, well, I'm ingesting this because I have to, right? Like, then it sucks, and I don't want to do anything because I'm upset because I just had to eat a salad or some shit, right? That I didn't want to eat. So I think they're, you know, having to do things that just make you feel good, like even if it is Marlboro Reds and Mountain Dew. I was just talking to Tila about this the other day too. Like, so many people. I watched that Hatfields and McCoy's documentary.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes,
With
I
Kevin
have.
Costner and it's so funny to me how those two men, like the two heads of the families, lived to be like 90-something years old or whatever, and they chewed tobacco and smoked pipes and fought in wars and shot each other and stuff for like their entire lives. They lived to be like 90-something, and I'll probably die at like 45 trying to eat salads and drink less Sun-Drop or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was on the podcast or might have just been in our conversation. I told you about my great-grandma. No, I was talking to Nathan about it. My great-grandmother, my dad's grandmother, she lived, I don't want to get this wrong, somewhere between 98 and 103. Dude. Somewhere along. But she smoked for 60-some years and chewed tobacco for 80-some years. And every Christmas, she would drink a six-pack of Heineken and get absolutely tore out the frame. But until the day she died, she couldn't see and she couldn't hear, but she knew exactly who every one of us were. She had her mind completely, never lost one stitch of her mind. You could get right there in her face at Christmas and say, hey, Grandma, how are you? And she would, Matt, how are you doing? This and that. And it was remarkable.
Now, was she an alcoholic, or did she just like
No, far from that.
Okay, I got it. So
No.
You're saying like at Christmas she just celebrated.
Yep.
Like she wasn't
That was
afraid
her-
to celebrate.
That was her thing.
Because I have also been like doing a lot of study because I have so many mixed emotions about alcohol, right? Because I'm obviously around it a lot because I'm in entertainment, of course. So I just can't stand to be around it, right? But I have to. But there's so many studies that are coming out now about the relationship between, and I'm studying this right now because I have a grandfather who's dealing with dementia, right? Granddaddy Roy is dealing with dementia right now. So I just causes of dementia, like why is the brain doing this, right? Well, one of the big factors is alcoholism leading to dementia, and I don't know what the exact correlation is, but I know over and over, if you're looking for dementia causes or like things that happen, alcoholism is a big part of that. So like I'm always asking now, like when I see really old people that still kept their mind, how were they with alcohol throughout their life? And it sounds like she obviously didn't ever dabble in it. The cigarettes apparently didn't have any effect, you know, on her emotional, you know, on her mental, you know, mental sharpness or whatever. Which is very
cigarettes were
interesting.
way different back then than they are now.
Yeah, you
It's
think so?
Oh man, dude.
Yeah, because it was more natural.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Filters didn't come along until later.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was smoking those Lucky Strikes, or you know, like they look like a joint. Yeah.
Yeah, you roll your own.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was fairly recent then. That I guess it was recent that they just came out with like cigarette butts and things where people weren't rolling their own.
Yeah, I'm not a scientist. I think like the 70s.
I'm not a paleo.
scientist.
I'm not a nicotinologist.
That's an outstanding new word. Thank you.
Yeah, but no, I think happiness is such a big part of it. Like people ask those girls that are in Tila's salon all the time, ask her stuff like that. Like, how do you stay so lean? How do you stay so skinny? And we do work out. Like I just was training with a guy yesterday at the range who's like one of the most jacked dudes that I know and always has been. Right, his name's Matt Brogdon, and he was a good shooter, which was great. But beyond that, I was asking, like, he brought me a Sun-Drop, and he had a Sun-Drop, which, if you're out of this state, Sun-Drop is like Mountain Dew, but it's
Way better.
Way better, absolutely. Yeah. But it's the first time I'd ever seen one of those jack dudes that, like, always is, like, 1% body fat, right, all the time, chugging on Sun-Drop. He was like, bro, I wake up and run 2 miles every day, and like I do cardio all the time, and I work out all the time so that I can eat fried chicken and drink Sundrop. And I'm like, dude,
I'm in.
If,
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly right. Like
Yeah.
if you keep yourself happy and like you're doing the things that make you happy, as long as you stay moving in the process, I think there's something to that.
Yeah, there was there's the saying that goes by, you can't outwork a bad diet. Isn't that, you've heard that saying
I've
before?
absolutely
It's
heard it.
100% lie.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no way! Are you? I didn't expect you to say.
Absolutely
Weren't you
you
a
can't.
CrossFit guy
Yes.
as well?
Ate like garbage.
Really?
You know Rich Froning, like world's fittest guy, won CrossFit competition like 5 years in a row or something like that. Yeah, he eats like Oreos every day and ice cream and garbage and yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, that happiness thing, dude. Plays a-
I think there's something to it.
plays a lot bigger
I
part.
absolutely think it's just like whenever you see people get like a lot of times Facebook lets us see into people's lives so much more, right?
Yeah.
So you'll see people in like a marriage, and then you can see they're like overweight, unhappy, things like that, and then they part ways, and then all of a sudden the woman's slimming down, she's putting all these pictures on
Back in the
face.
game,
That's
daddy.
exactly right. They're glowing again, right? Because of the happiness that they're not changing much. You know what I mean? They're still doing a lot of their same habits, but they are much happier. Something to think about. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you know the phrase uplifting, and so if you're like doing uplifting things,
For sure.
you're up, and
Sure.
you know like your body's staying upright, and then if you're feeling down, everything's all just melting, and you just
Absolutely.
want to, you know, it's
And
gotta be.
I think as far as your psyche goes too, like just what we're talking about today, what we were talking about a little bit ago with like the you can look at everything that you see on your social medias 2 different ways, right? Like you can choose to see it as something not necessarily like if it's bad news or if it's something you don't want to see, you know, you can choose to see it as, well, that's part of life. You know, sometimes things happen, it'll come back around, the pendulum swings both ways. Or you can see it as, well, this is the end, this is it, this is what I was talking about, right? This is the end coming, you know. So I don't know, I see a lot of it just seems like there's a lot of defeatist attitude on the internet a lot of times. I don't know how else to word it, but a lot of people are just like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen, and this has never happened before. It's absolutely happened before. There's nothing that can happen now that's never happened before, short of, you know, robots are starting to do things that they've never really done before with people.
Yeah,
But-
there are some new things, but cycles.
Cycles
Yeah.
is absolutely right. Yeah. But no, that kind of brings me to, you know, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today. Like one of the biggest things is like trying to give people updated information or as updated as I have on what's going on with like the pistol brace thing. So like a lot of you guys as listeners are gun people, correct? Like,
Yeah.
and that's something
Big
that
majority, yeah.
we absolutely, it's something that we avoid the topic a lot, and I have to avoid the topic a lot because most of the time whenever I'm in here talking, I'm talking about other things that I'm doing, you know, like in the community or like with kids or things like that, and I keep those 2 topics completely separate. So like a lot of people don't know that my main day job during the during the week, is I train people literally every day how to use firearms better, whether it be military, law enforcement, or civilian, concealed carry classes, or just trying to learn how to use their stuff better. Like that's literally my day job. So that's one of the reasons we talked about it briefly, but just kind of touched on it. But that's one of the reasons I get so much flack from the schools is because of what I do for a living, like why they won't let me in a lot of these places. So, and I certainly don't promote any of these things, you know, and at the schools or anything. Most of the kids have no idea what, right? Yeah, like I come in with an AK, like doing wheelies and shooting
Yeah.
an AK in the air or something. Yeah, is that what you visualized?
I'd be at every event.
I hope so. I hope so. But no, I think I started doing this, and maybe Hoff, you might have started training people as well. Like I started doing this because I saw a need for firearms instructors for the average person. So online, you see all these firearms instructors that are teaching firearms to like dudes that are already well put together, right? Like the guys that already know what they're doing, and they're just trying to get better and better and better, like we all are. But you rarely on YouTube ever see, because it's not exciting, it's not fun. Like nobody wants to teach the average person how to be better with their firearm and give them that self-worth, you know. But it's so much more important for the average person. Like more important, you know. It's like you know, the same thing we used to talk about with like motorcycles and stuff. Like teaching somebody those basic fundamentals will keep them out of the shit whenever something, you know, something does happen in traffic or whatever. Like you have to have those fundamentals, and you have to make sure as many people as possible have those fundamentals, because whether you like it or not, especially, you know, in the South, people are going to have guns.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of in that community, the training community, and the ones you see on the internet are all, you know, ex-SF guys or competition shooters or something like
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of there's a lot of mixed feelings, when it comes to civilians and the level of competency and the level of training that, that folks believe they should have. I guess, you get some of the SF guys that are like, a civilian should be trained just like we are. Yeah, I mean, it could happen to them. I mean, no, they're not getting deployed into, these hot places or hot zones where they have to use a handgun or use a rifle for a living, but there's no reason that anybody at home shouldn't be able to deploy these same tactics in order to defend their family or their home.
Yeah, smash and grabs happen at home now.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot of mixed feelings there. Like I said, some people say that, civilians shouldn't know how to do, single man CQB or be able to clear their own home or, that sort of thing. Whereas, the other side of the coin is they're like, yes, they absolutely should be able to. And so, it's fun to watch those two camps fight on the internet.
I agree.
It's entertaining to me.
I agree with you. I do disagree in I think anyone who's searching for more training or to be better at anything, I think is a good thing. Like I absolutely I understand why, like I understand the reasons, and I would never like tell anybody that they're stupid for feeling like civilians don't need this training, right? But I also feel like I'm a motorcycle stunner that really enjoys shooting guns, right? So like I got really good at it because I enjoy it. What I have seen along the way is, since I'm dealing with the very I deal with a lot of beginner shooters, so I get to see them grow. And not only do I get to see them grow, I get to see them like grow as a person. Their shooting grows, but they change. Their confidence goes up because they haven't had like a hobby that they've been able to enjoy that much. You know what I mean? We've talked about this before. Like there's so many really cool emotions that come out.
Process.
Absolutely right. You get sharper. You feel. I see. There's a guy that I'm training today. I'm going to the long range today as soon as we leave here, and I'm training this guy who's like 75 years old and long range stuff. And this is why anytime I get into this stuff, I latch on to the top guys in our area, Mr. Cowden. Like when we've seen that, like I latch on to those people so I can pass this stuff on to this lower level of people. I'm like the middle guy, right? I'm like the connection. But when I see he's like 75 years old and all he wants is to stay sharp. Right, he has no other goals but to just keep learning, stay sharp, keep getting after it. Right,
Yeah.
like I think we all understand what that's like, and I hope that I stay that way as well. Because as soon as you stop, you will deteriorate.
Absolutely.
And
those drills you're doing, I can't remember the name, but it's basically your cold
start drills.
Okay,
dude, so much fun.
Yeah, that has got me thinking more. I don't know if I'm the only person that does this, but my gun placement in my bedroom when I sleep is not consistent. So I imagine the intruder knowing where it is. So I'm like, well, I don't want to put it in the same spot everybody else puts it, So I don't know if that's like a complete terrible idea, because then I have to wake up, figure out where I put it.
What do you think? You got an opinion on whether that's a good or bad idea?
Sure. To make it a little more relatable for you, it's just like grabbing a different or not knowing which hose load you're going to grab. If it's a Minuteman, a AAA, all those things, they all serve the same purpose, but they deploy off of our fire trucks completely different. The technique to deploying that hose off the fire truck is completely different. So you wouldn't want to be surprised at a fire. So consistency, if you have a home intruder come in, you don't want to go to the place you left it 2 nights ago thinking it's there. And then by the time you're actually tracking it down, it's too late. If they're coming in your house and you know where it's at, odds are you're going to be quicker to it than they ever will be, because they don't know where it's at. They might have heard some stuff about, oh, it might be in the nightstand. Well, maybe it is. Come get it.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Wait for the flash.
Yeah, wait for the flash. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll give you some light.
So, I believe consistency. I used to tell people to try to allow themselves 3 steps from the time they are startled to the time they actually can get to where their home defense weapon is. At least 3 steps, because all it takes is you half asleep. In my world, stepping on a Lego or the side of a Barbie's foot, and everybody's getting shot.
Yeah.
In the house.
That was actually, that advice I think was originally from Skinner, and then it was adopted by the NCDOJ. Because I know it's in our concealed carry referendum. Right. I don't know if y'all caught that Leonard Skinner reference. That give me 3 steps.
Oh.
It's
hey,
Amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, my music knowledge
What
is
am I doing?
so limited.
What am
and
I doing?
Non-existent.
so
That's a tangent conversation. I'll send Steve. You know how I'll send you videos? I'll be like,
yeah.
dude, check this band.
Oh,
It's rad.
man.
I'll send them to Steve, and like 2 days later, I'll get nothing. I'll be like, dude, I was hype as shit about that song. What'd you think? Not my style.
Oh,
Not
no.
my style. It's like, you're killing me.
So he just didn't respond at all, right? Rather than letting you down right then.
yeah. It's just like, did you listen to that video? He was like, not my style. It's like, oh no.
That one you're talking about, I made it like halfway through, and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be getting here.
Yeah. No, he just left you on red too. That's terrible. Yeah. Okay.
In my defense, it was like a 1 hour long music video.
Yeah, it was really good though.
Yeah, I got in like halfway. I was like, I don't get it.
Next.
Next.
Oh, thank God for an ad.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But so one of the things that I was talking about before with the like everything is how you look at it, you know, like how you perceive it or whatever, like how you want to digest it. Right now we're seeing so much of that, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to. We're so distracted already, but one of the reasons I wanted to get on here today was to just like try and give out information locally and you know maybe not locally as well on like this AR pistol brace thing. Like there's been a lot of changes and a lot of back and forth right now with like AR pistols. And the ATF has made another rule, right, where they're saying that you can't have AR pistol braces on your AR pistols at all anymore. So they've changed, you know, through the past like 10 years, they were okaying some different pistol braces and stuff like that. And it's kind of hazy on what they did okay and what they didn't okay over the time, but at this point they're basically saying, okay, you guys have taken it to a point where we're kind of just shutting this whole AR pistol brace thing down. You can still have AR pistols, but as of right now, they're saying like all the pistol braces that are out there, you can't run them. So people ask me literally about every day, like, where do we stand on that situation? Well, you had 120 days from when they actually made this rule, and that 120 days is up on May. Is there 30 or 31 in May? Whatever the last day is in May. Yeah. 30 or 31st, I can't remember.
End of May.
But that's exactly right. So you literally have maybe 2 more weeks or something like that. And we all kind of just keep watching to see if it'll get blocked by either the I know that the SCOTUS, help me out. What SCOTUS
Supreme Court Justice.
That's exactly right. So they've been stepping in. There's a lot of Congress has been stepping in. The ATF director was talking to Congress, and they were grilling him pretty hard recently because of the ATF making their own laws, right? And ATF is not a law-making body, so Congress is very upset right now because they have been making these laws kind of without going through Congress. But I know that as of right now, nobody's been able to put in what they call an injunction, right, or something where they can halt or stop that pistol brace law from coming through. So as of right now, the end of May, we still have to either take the pistol braces off, or we can register the pistol braces as like we can register the rifle as like a pistol braced rifle, and they won't make you do the $200 tax stamp. So the way this works is, if you have a rifle in North Carolina, I believe this is national as well, but because it's the NFA, the National Firearms Act, but if you have a rifle, this would be national, under 16 inches, like the barrel is under 16 inches, you have to register that with the NFA. If it has a stock on it, you have to register it with the NFA as a short-barreled rifle or an SBR. With that registration, it's basically the same as like if you were to buy a suppressor. So you have to get the $200 tax stamp from them. You have to get an approval from them, which usually takes a little while to get that approval back. And then once you have an SBR or a short-barreled rifle that's registered with the NFA, you can't leave your state with it without like getting permission from them. You have to send them an email and get the confirmation back before you can leave the state with it and things like that. So now you have this whole other realm of regulations. As I understand it, if you register your pistol with a pistol brace, you don't have to pay the $200 tax stamp. That you will get waived that fee, but you still have to register it. And as I understand it, it's the same rules as the SBR. So like then you know if you want to leave the state with it and go do like I do a lot of shooting courses in other states, you know, travel all over the place to do these things. So I would have to ask ATF's permission to be able to leave the state with my braced AR pistol. So a lot of people ask me, well, what do we do? What do I do? What is Dane doing? What have I been doing? And the answer is I've just been going to rifles. Like I don't want it's not worth it to me. In my opinion, The AR platform is cool and like it's fun with these shorter configurations. I just don't necessarily think I gain a whole lot, you know, from having a shorter AR. Like I get it, you know, the CQB or whatever. Like I can fit it through my doorway. You can fit whatever you want through your doorway. You know, if you train with it and you want to be able to get through your house with it, you can do it if you wanted to use it for home defense or something like that. I don't know. I don't think anything will change between now and the end of May. I do think eventually this rule will get struck down. But I don't know if you guys heard that the bump stock ban just got shut down. Did y'all hear that?
Yes.
We just got that removed. So like in case anybody out there didn't know, bump stocks were banned. I don't remember what year that was when the initial ban was. Maybe 18, 19.
Yeah,
I can't
18 or
recall.
19.
Right. So it's been years that bump stocks have been banned, and they were like, yeah, everybody, you have to turn in your bump stocks or destroy them or burn them or whatever. And now bump stocks are legal again because Congress came in and they were like, "Hey, you guys can't make laws." Talking to the ATF, right? You guys can't make these laws without consulting us. So very interesting watching this push pull in all that's going on. But you have other options with your AR pistols. So sorry, I didn't go through all that, but I made sure that I made some notes here as well, just so that I can kind of stay with it. But one of the options that you have with your AR pistol, if it has a brace on it, is you can destroy it. Yeah, because that's a good idea. Yeah, make sure you do that. Another option that you have is you can just turn it into the ATF. Like, hey, I have this AR pistol. It's a Daniel Defense Mark 18, right? I paid like $2,200 for it, but you guys can just have it, right? I'm not gonna. I don't need this anymore. This is the devil's work. That's probably not gonna happen either. So the other two things that you can do, obviously, are registering it as a pistol, which is not really that big a deal, as I understand, and you don't have to pay the $200 tax stamp, or register as an SBR. And SBRs are awesome. Like the only thing that ever sets me back from running an SBR more is just that limitation of being able to take it outside of the state whenever I want to and like do whatever I want to with it.
That action of registering it, is that the right term?
It's correct.
Yep. So you just contact the ATF like online?
NFA, the NFA. Okay. So there's a different branch. The National Firearms Act is like their own branch, and you kind of deal with them. But yes, it's if you go online and search like Form 1, I believe, is it Form 1 or Form 4? I'm trying to recall exactly which one it is. But you'll go online and submit one of those. I believe for SBRs, I don't want to mess it up, but for SBRs, it's one or the other. And they'll explain on like the ATF website, especially if you start searching like NFA rules and regulations or how to register, a short barrel rifle or something like that with the NFA. There's so many videos on YouTube and things like that. I'm not even going to try to walk people through it on here because I will get my words confused because I've done it a couple of times, but it's not a process. I try to avoid it because it's like sitting at the DMV for me.
Yeah, I get that.
It's like that same process. So it's not fun for anyone. But
so if I bought an AR pistol during the time when people were buying them, I can't just ignore the new rule. Like I have to figure out. You got to do something.
Do something. Now, the thing with the AR pistols is they have that buffer tube sticking off the back. So, like, if you know what an AR pistol looks like, you know that the bolt carrier group inside of it has to have that tube hanging off the back of the gun because it has to be able to go back and forth. It's got to have that tube to go into. So your AR pistol will still have a buffer tube on the back, and the ATF is saying, as long as it doesn't, it's not something that, as long as it's something that goes with like the workings of the firearm, like it has to be there for the firearm to work. Obviously, it can stick out of the back, but anything that you add on to that's when it's considered a brace, and you have to do something about it. So I have trained a lot with just they've got these little cheek pads that you put on the buffer tubes or whatever, and like running them from the cheek, and it's absolutely totally possible. Like AR-15, the platform itself doesn't have a lot of recoil, and you have so many ways that you can mitigate that recoil with like heavy buffer weights or different gas length systems or different ammos and things like that. Like you
muzzle
have
devices.
a lot. That's exactly right. Yeah, muzzle devices. Absolutely right. If you like a 10-inch AR-15 with a muzzle brake on it, blasting you in your fucking face every time you shoot, you know what I mean? And all your friends hate you on either side of you. Do it. Muzzle devices are very effective, but they are, nobody beside you likes you at all. I did a rifle course one time, and the guy beside me had a short gun and had the muzzle brake on it, and I was beside him all day long, and luckily he was a nice guy because he was blasting me with every bit of 5.56 sound. He was blasting me all day long with that thing. I was like, I hate this guy.
Yeah. It's like a beach ball of explosion.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hitting you in the face. That's absolutely right. All day long, So
It is a Form 1, by the way.
Form 1. There you go. So Form 1, that's for SBR.
Yes.
Excellent. So not a difficult process necessarily, but do understand that once you have an SBR, there are some restrictions to what you can and cannot do with that. So I feel like this is a really good platform. Like I get a lot of the single questions every day. I feel like this is a great platform where like I can answer these questions for a lot of people, but do understand that so many of these things come and go. So like I just see people, get very heated and like up in arms because of the thing about these politicians is like as soon as they're always trying to like one up each other with the most extreme shit that they can come up with, right? They're like, okay, well, you want to take away, our pistol braces. Well, now Texas has just put in their bill. They want to they literally want to have SBR freedom like Tennessee. Tennessee did an SBR Freedom Act like a year or two ago or something like that, where Tennessee will not prosecute their own citizens, like statewide. It would have to be someone federal that comes in and prosecutes somebody for having an SBR or an SBS or a short barrel shotgun. But Texas tried to do the same thing. They're introducing the SBR Freedom Act, the Suppressor Freedom Act, and then somebody else who's on the anti-gun side just introduced some bill. I think he was Pennsylvania's representative. Just introduced some bill. He wants to take away all suppressors everywhere, ban suppressors, ban every assault weapon, ban, that they're just always trying to one up each other with the most outlandish bill possible. We're very fortunate that we have our system of checks and balances, where it's half and half, like there's half of the people that are, into it and half that aren't, and they go back and forth, on what they do and don't want to allow. But it's been very interesting to watch. If you can go on YouTube and find some of those hearings where the director, I'm trying to remember the director of the ATF's name. Can you pull that up real quick? I'm gonna ruin it either way. I have it in my notes here, but it's not an easy name to say. But they've been very, very hard on him because of a lot of the quote unquote overreach. And like, I'm not one to say whether it's
Stephen
overreach.
Delback.
What'd you say?
Stephen Delback? That guy?
Dettelbach. That's it. Yep, absolutely right.
it.
Yeah, that's good. So, yes, that's absolutely right. So, he has been talking to Congress and being interviewed by Congress, and, man, they're giving him, like, the third degree. Like, it's almost hard to watch because they're very upset, and he's trying to defend himself and defend the ATF and their actions. And they've made a lot of mistakes. Unfortunately, the ATF is a body of people, and people do make mistakes, right? So there's going to be things that are going to go wrong. The ATF actually did, they had an operation going a couple years back. I can't remember where it was, but it was close to the Mexico border because they were doing something. I don't know the details of this, so don't let me get it wrong. You'll have to search this. But they were doing something near the border where they were dealing with like firearms, and they were trying to figure out where like stolen firearms were going, like as they were going over the border. And then a bunch of the firearms that they were supposed to be tracing got stolen out of their warehouse, right? Like all the not just firearms, but like parts and ammunition and all that stuff got stolen, like without them knowing about them getting stolen. So they couldn't put in place what they needed to put in place to track them. Yeah. And now there's just a bunch of stolen guns out there that the ATF like gets stolen. So that was like one of the things they were grilling him about was like, you guys are constantly on, like I've had my FFL, I'm getting out of it now, but I've had my FFL since 2015, and they're constantly on us about like if we lose a firearm or if we, if something gets stolen, they're all over us, checking everything with a fine-tooth comb. They're always on our citizens, like they're always harping on citizens and yelling at citizens about like leaving their guns in their cars because they will absolutely get stolen out of your car. Let me just say that a second time. If you leave your gun in your car overnight, it will get stolen.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
If it hasn't happened yet, it will happen. Do not leave your gun in your car overnight. It's going to happen eventually. People love stealing guns, but very interesting to watch this whole thing play out. But as of right now, we don't have any relief on that ATF pistol brace rule. You have to figure something out, at least for the time being, because the bump stocks ban for that to come back down took 4 or 5 years or whatever it was. So this will take a minute for them to make things happen.
That seems. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, is it similar to, remember there was the assault rifles ban years
94,
ago?
Yeah, 1994,
right.
I believe it was.
And then I think the term was the sunset on it. Like they put it in place, and then they had to re-vote on it, and it failed the second time. So this is a similar, like a cycle.
Very similar. Absolutely
Okay.
right. And this is another one of those times where, like, I try to tell people to be calm. Like, keep fighting, but be calm. This is not the end. Like, there's been assault weapons ban. The one in 90, it was 2 or 4. I believe it was 4. But the one in 94 was probably the worst. I say the word. It was probably the harshest one that we've ever seen in the gun community. And that was under Bill Clinton. But I don't see. I believe it was under Clinton. I was there, but I was like really young. But I'd have to look into that again.
That sounds right.
I think 94 was Clinton. But I know that he was the one that was pushing for it pretty heavy. And we've been here before with the assault weapons bans and that was a nationwide, as I understand it. Right now, the assault weapons bans, we're seeing like Washington's doing it. It's cool for them. Illinois is doing it, but it's getting fought by the Supreme Court as well. So a lot of people are kind of there's states that are, I won't say a lot. There's a few states that are jumping on that bandwagon, but the media will tell you that it's just an everywhere pandemic, or like the YouTubers that feed off of like you watching their videos because you think this is the end of the world, right? They will tell you that this is everywhere and it's just taking over and it's such a terrible thing. It's certainly not everywhere yet, but it is something that that we have to make sure that we stay on top of and try to squash. What'd you find?
94.
94. Excellent. So, what'd you say?
That seems to be kind of, the climate that I hear. I'm not so much into that community as much as I was, 5 years ago or whatever, 10 years ago. But the general kind of opinion from most people is, I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing, and it's going to flip around and change so many times. That, and then, I have quite a bit of empathy for folks because there's so much to keep up with.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
It's a lot of stuff. You walk into a gun store and you see all these guns, and some of them you can buy right then. Some of them you used to have to wait for a permit or get a permit, and then some of them you have to register, and it's like, geez,
tax
man,
stamps and the whole
it's
deal.
like, good God.
Yeah, and this is another one of the arguments that Congress keeps bringing up to like the director of the ATF, and even the NFA. Like, there's a lot of talk right now that I've never really seen before about like defunding the ATF and getting rid of the NFA and things like that. So
I like that.
They
Defund the ATF. Yeah,
I agree. I
think they should go away
I've
completely.
had a gun store for a long time. I do think that it would be possible for like the FBI to step up and take over a lot of whatever that responsibility would be that they would need to take over from the ATF. And then a lot of these things, I think less regulation wouldn't really change anything for the average gun buyer. And I don't think, bad guys are going to get the same guns that they've always gotten either way, so
They're not going through the process.
that's exactly, they're not going through strangely enough, right? Strangely enough, most of the full auto weapons in America, and I say most, I can't remember the exact percentage, but most of the full auto weapons in America are in the hands of felons.
Of course.
Let's be honest about that. And that's worldwide, right? The majority of them have not gone through the process, and they really didn't pay much of anything for those weapons. They filed whatever they had to file. And when I say file, I don't mean paperwork. I mean like right,
actual metal filing.
And drilled the extra holes and things like that to make it happen.
If I own a normal pistol or a normal long gun or a normal shotgun, I don't have to get online and
No,
change.
you don't have to do anything. And that's why I switched. Like, rather than keep dealing with because I think AR pistols are cool. Like, I've had Mark 18s and stuff like that were really fun. It's like a 10.3 inch barrel, Dane Defense, which is a really fun little rifle. However, everything works more as it should. Like, as it was designed to, when you go to like 14.5 to 16 to 18, 20, whatever.
Reliability.
That's exactly right. Like, everything goes up as you get to those longer barrels. So I really didn't lose anything. You can still have very lightweight, longer rifles. I hear people all the time making reference to like a truck gun, or things like that. They like to have something. I hear this a lot. Only carry my handgun because it's so I can fight till I get to my truck, right? Well, in concealed carry land in our world, FBI says you get 3 seconds or less, 3 rounds or less, 3 feet or less. Right, that's the statistics, and that's majority of interactions, social interactions in concealed carry world. If you understand what I'm saying, yes.
Yeah.
So within those 3 rounds, you don't get to your truck. Like, you fight with whatever you have on your person at the time, and you most likely do not have any sort of an AR or an AK or whether it's a pistol or not. You don't have it in your pants, I would imagine. So what I try and what I try to inspire people to do, or what I try to kind of, I won't say convince, but what I always try to promote people doing is, get as good as you possibly can with what's on you all the time. Like whatever you carry and you can carry and you do carry, don't rely on being able to get to your truck because things happen too fast. Nobody is waiting on you to run to your truck. Nobody.
Yeah.
And the interactions that we have in our day-to-day lives, you don't have that time. Like
It's
you
not
have
hide
to
and
be
go
able
seek.
to.
Like I'm not gonna.
That's
count.
exactly.
It's not Hollywood. I
Wait
mean, that's
for
what
you.
they, that's where you see it all is Hollywood. So
Yeah.
that's just not reality.
We give ourselves, like as men, we like to give ourselves these cushions all the time. Like the cushion is, I can't shoot my handgun very well, and I'm not very proficient with it. So I know I'm proficient with my rifle because I have 3 points of contact. I've got my shoulder, I've got a hand, I've got a hand. I can do rifle things. So I tell myself in my mind that if something popped off, I would run to my truck or I would run to wherever so I could get my rifle. That is not going to happen in real life, right? You don't have this kind of time. You have to take care of business right then, and you have to train. Like if you want to be the sheepdog, right? If you want to be the protector and you think that's a role that you're going to play, train for playing that role with whatever you have on you already. Do you guys carry? I don't think I've ever even asked you. Do you conceal carry? What do you usually carry? I don't think I did. I think you said
G19.
I thought you were a Smith guy for some reason. I thought you were
I
a
have,
shield guy.
Yeah, I have a couple shields, and I have several G19s.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I'm
the same way.
But yeah, every day it's G19 for sure.
Cool.
I can put that thing behind any vehicle and drag it to where I want to go.
Yeah,
and still pick it up. And
now,
it's going to work.
do you like the Gen 5, or are you one of those like purists that stays with like the one?
Let's not get it twisted. There's nothing about me in any aspect of my life whatsoever that is pure.
Yeah, not even my gun.
So no, I like progression of firearm technology.
Same.
I like the idea that it's constantly. There's people constantly innovating. So no, I'm not a purist. I think I've got a Gen 1 G17, 2 Gen 3 19s. I don't have a 5.
So you're carrying a Gen 3 19.
Gen 3 19.
Wow.
It's been altered to look just like the new ones, get rid of the finger grooves and all that good stuff. They're kind of worthless. But they work for some people.
For some people, not me.
That's right. So, and plus I like things smooth that are rubbing on my skin. I'm not a fan of heavy stippling on the
Understood
on that side.
And that goes the same for like with your shirt. Like when you're trying to get your shirt out of the way for like draw and fire, things like that. Like heavy stippling can absolutely hinder you more than it helps you a lot of times. The Gen 117, I feel like any Glock person. I have a Gen 117 as well.
You have to have one.
That's and they're not, oddly enough, they're not that expensive, which is just crazy to me. Like on Gunbroker, you can still find them. I mean, they're more expensive than a regular Glock, but they're still not astronomically. I don't understand. Like why? I don't understand how they because they definitely ain't making no more since like '86 or some shit.
Right.
Whenever they stop making that, I don't know. Do you carry?
Yeah,
Steve?
I've got a Model 27 and a Model 22. Yep.
You're a 40 guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a 23, but that one doesn't. You don't like it?
If you like it, then I like it.
That's exactly right.
If you carry it, then that's fine.
If you shoot it well, yeah.
That's
If you
right.
train with it, then you absolutely, then you're good to go. So tell me why you made that face. Now, don't change anything because of our conversation, okay? Tell me why you made that face, because I know why I made that face.
I'm going to have every single person who's 40 years old or over.
They're going to hurt
They're
you.
gonna, they're going to come hunt me.
You are hated.
For sure. I mean, the age of 40 seems to go with 40 for some reason.
That's the generation.
My father, same way. Yep. They live and die by the 40. I don't like the heaviness of 45, and I don't like not having enough ass in the 9. So
hold on, that term, knockdown power.
That's it.
Don't forget that.
So, no, I mean, personal opinion, I think the 40 is a silly round. There's not a lot of it. There's a lot of 45, and there's a lot of 9.
That's true.
That's interesting.
In the ammo hunting.
Yes, exactly.
You're right.
So I like the ease of having, pretty much anywhere you go in is going to have 45 and 9. And also, I would prefer the extra rounds versus the 40 that has a little bit more knockdown, has less penetration. So I don't know. I prefer, and the recoil. To me, the recoil is not worth the sacrifice and what you get.
So this is exactly what I usually see. Me coming from being on the gun sales side of the counter and slowly evolving into the training side, I got to see so much. When I was on the gun sales side of it, I got to see so much of like males influencing the women in their lives more than probably needed to happen. And I'm saying this out loud, like into the microphone, so that some of these guys that are listening can kind of maybe make this adjustment, because they may not even realize they're doing it. But like when they're in the gun store and a female picks up a particular firearm, or even if they've done like a training session or something and they shot like a 22 or 380, whatever the smaller calibers are, and they shot them very proficiently, right? And they did not shoot the larger calibers as proficient, right? But the male in their life, whether it be a husband or boyfriend or whatever, is saying, no, you can't carry those smaller bullets. You have to carry something that's got some knockdown power, right?
Gotta have the 38.
Stop the snub-nose 38, bro.
Gotta
It's like
have
the
it.
worst on the planet for things like this, right? So we all feel as men, we all feel very like confident that the damn thing's going to go off, right? Although I've definitely seen 38s have malfunctions and jam up just like everything else when primers get deformed and things like that. However, the 40 cals and the 45, I think most of the time they'll keep their women away from the 45s, but like the 40 cals and even the 9mm. Like a lot of times, if you get a small 9mm, if you don't shoot a lot, male or female, you can't shoot it worth a shit, But particularly, that's exactly right. It's too slappy. But particularly like a brand new Glock 43, most women that don't do anything with firearms can't pull the slide back because it's a small, stiff firearm. Like it's very stiff from the factory. But I just see so many times, especially whenever I was in the the sales side of it, men don't care. They're like, well, we'll figure that out. You can't have them smaller bullets. You got to have something that's got some stopping power. What are you gonna do? Piss them off when you shoot them with a 22? Do you know what I'm saying? Like I used to hear it all the time, and that's a very primitive thing to say. It's a very uneducated, or it kind of sounds ignorant a lot of times whenever we hear things like that, especially on the training side of it now. Like I will assure you, if I am training someone and they accidentally shoot me in my stomach with a 22,
it's not going to be good.
There's a good chance I will die. Like whether you want to admit it or not.
High probability.
That's exactly right. Like, and we
So
all
probably a big majority of all the violence we see on the streets is from small caliber stuff. Like by small, I'm not talking. I mean like 22, 380. That's really common. Really, really, really common.
Absolutely right. And it's another thing. I think we get in this habit of just like our boogeyman can never be stopped, right? Like whatever our boogeyman is in our head, we think we have to have cannons and shit to take that into consideration. That's
the case. You could just go like full on Mel Gibson and just get tomahawks, like in the Patriot. You know what I mean? Yeah.
We're going primal now.
Yeah,
yeah, dude.
You want knockdown power?
Do
Chuck
it.
a tomahawk at somebody.
And learn how to get good
That's
at that.
right. There you go.
You'll
They'll
have
stop.
something.
I promise. They'll be so surprised. Can't you just see a tomahawk just hitting you in the chest?
I
You'll
just
be
got
like,
stuck with a tomahawk.
what the hell?
Why is this happening? No, I absolutely try to tell people, and that's the same thing with your tomahawk theory. Like, if you can get rounds on target, it's more effective than having something that's too much. Like, if she's scared of it and she won't train with it, like a lot of the larger calibers, she's scared. She won't train with it. It's not doing her any good. Right, like you have to get her something that she enjoys shooting at first. If she wants to progress and grow, I had to do this with Tila. Tila was an awful shot at first. Like we did the Glock 43 thing, we did the Glock 19 thing, we did the 43X thing. Like we tried all of it, and she was terrible. So we just put her down to like they just come out with the Glock 44, the 22 cal, right? We put her down to that, and dude, she shot tens of thousands of rounds, and now she shoots everything well. Everything, right?
Nice.
Because of that natural progression. She has a confidence. She understands what she's doing, and she knows how to put rounds on target. She understands the fundamentals. And I try to. It's so hard. Like when males come train with me for the first time. Like I do a lot of private lessons is the majority of what I do, an hour at a time. And when males come out to me for the first time, you can always see that they're very nervous, right? Because they're in an uncomfortable situation, number one, but they don't want to fail. And like I try to, just yesterday when I was running some exercises with Matt, like I let him see that as we're pushing ourselves, we all fail. Like I absolutely don't hit the target every time. Shooting handguns is so fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard to shoot them effectively and quickly and proficiently. We will all continue to fail with handguns forever. Like I don't know how. I've never really seen you shoot, but
That's
like
a good thing,
I would
probably.
imagine. I would imagine it's the same way though, right? Like I've never, even the best shooters that I know, we still have those flyers all the time. Like we pull low because we got too excited, like low and left or whatever.
Yeah, when I was shooting
We all do
competition heavy, you know, I shot 3 guns. So, and I hated when you would go through sections of field of fire, going through the next stage or whatever, and there was pistol required targets. I would be like, oh no, I've ruined this Saturday completely. Yeah, you know. But yeah, pistol I struggle with a lot, so I had to dedicate a lot of time to be able to be consistent and just you get around folks. I'm sure a lot of their intimidation is they see you on the internet, they see you doing the stuff on social media, and they're like, I have to impress him for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's the ego thing. It's like, so, I mean.
Never be that way. And I'm sure you guys see the same shit in the fire training.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, like they don't
absolutely.
want to fail. I would be the same way if I stepped into y'all's. We've talked about me doing some of y'all's trainings before. I'd be shaking, right? Because I would want to succeed in front of my friends. I wouldn't want to look stupid. As males, we have to get past that. Like, we have to figure out how to continue to grow, even if sometimes it involves us falling down. Like, I think one of the things that people like about whether it's sparring with me, whether we're in the gym fighting or rolling around, I don't mind losing. Like, I enjoy losing. I enjoy kind of getting beat on sometimes and things like that, because like I'm learning, I'm processing everything they're doing to defeat me, which is great, because the next time I'll have a pretty good, and I'm still gonna let it happen. Like, I'm not going to go beat people up at the gym when they're new to it. That's fucking stupid, right? Nobody wins, nobody learns anything. However, you can learn from everyone, and one of the most dangerous people that you can train in a gym is like a new person. They are going to injure you, especially like when we're doing jujitsu and stuff like that. Like, my right ear is so sore right now. I don't know if you noticed, it's swole up right now bad. It's got the thing. But when we're teaching them like a lot of the ground stuff, and like they're learning how to swing around on your body and things, man, they will crush you. Like, they will absolutely destroy you learning it. But they're learning. And that's the most important part. And it's got to be the same thing with shooting. It's got to be the same thing with fire department. It's got to be the same thing with whatever you're doing, especially when it's dangerous things, though. I've talked about this before on probably you guys' podcast, because I talk about it all the time. But we put guns on like this pedestal, like it's the most dangerous thing that we do, right? Like, this is the most dangerous thing on earth because it's a gun and it's designed to kill people. And that's not, I can't think of one time that anybody's come out to that range and they've said, I'm here to learn how to kill people. Right?
Correct.
Like, this is not and everybody out there's probably cringing right now, but this is not how any of us see this. Like, we learned how to shoot paper. I drew a bunch of little small circles on the paper yesterday. We put holes in those circles. This is the mentality of the vast majority of people that are going to a gun range. Like,
Paper bad guys.
that's exactly right. Like, we want to learn how to just make the bullet go wherever we want it. And that's when we're thinking about our growth, that's what we need to be growing toward, is doing that and doing that safely. We just had somebody yesterday get hit on a bicycle, like get killed on a bicycle, right here in town. Like, that's a dangerous thing, right? But we don't think about it as dangerous because it's not a gun. We do dangerous things every day that we need to take more seriously. You guys see it more than anybody with driving, with the wrecks that y'all go to.
Yeah, Marcus Street, Carolina Beach
You're
Road.
like, man, this could have been avoided. The RIP tattoos that I have, I don't have one RIP tattoo from somebody with a gun. I have many RIP tattoos from motorcycle riders. Guys that I've known that went down and paid the price, like the price that sometimes we pay. So I think we need to start thinking about more things in our life with like the same responsibility that but also putting the same amount of training into our firearm stuff as we're putting into some of these other things. Like, I always tell people, it's like mileage on your car. Like, if you have 0 miles on your car and you've never driven a car before, you're going to suck.
Yes.
Right. As you get more and more miles on that car and you've driven more and more miles, you get better and better. Bullets are the same way. Like you
Completely agree.
You have to shoot bullets to keep going with it.
Completely agree. We should start getting in here like once a month to keep people updated on gun laws.
I don't mind doing that at all. I don't want to ever. My goal is always, like, I don't want to get repetitive to where, like, because a lot of this stuff doesn't change real fast. But I feel like people hearing just a lot of times we need that reminder sometimes, like hearing somebody say, hey man, you need to go out and maybe shoot some rounds. And it doesn't matter if you get together with like there's some good instructors around here, like talk to any of them and like see if you can go do a session with them or go to your local indoor range. We got range time over there off of Gordon, I believe. We got Best Shot. No, wait, maybe I had that backward. I can't remember. But there's multiple indoor ranges here in town. There's some ranges just outside of town. Get with an instructor. Call Matt Hoffman.
And then I'm going to tell you to call Dane.
He's a. But dude, we have to stop with the masculinity thing. You know, with this.
Agreed.
And this is the same with it. Like I'm going out to that long range today. I promise you, I'm the only guy with a haircut this dumb. And every guy that's walking around that gets out of his Toyota Tacoma, because that's what they all drive, because it's near Jayville. So every guy that gets out of his Toyota Tacoma will eyeball the shit out of me. Like they're all going to look at me. You good over there? That's what they all drive, dude. And it's usually like a tan, you know, or like that gray color, like that dolphin gray or whatever. But
Army for life.
That's so I don't. You know, I see so much of it, and I just wish it wasn't. But it's never going to go away. But I wish we could do more training. Like we're all in this to grow. Like if we're all out there at the long range, we're all there to grow, right? Like we're all there to practice and try to learn. It's literally the same. In my opinion, I get the same therapy as somebody who likes golf. Like it's the same shit. I'm lobbing these things out there to hit these steel targets, and I wish people would just interact more like that. Like we don't have to do the.
Yes, the gun community is weird. It's like everybody's got to be better. You got to have the certain bravado about you when you're somebody in the gun world and all that. It's not the same as I guess that's probably any physical guns. Fighting, you probably see that quite a bit in fighting.
Always, yeah.
But it's never like the super proficient people who are like that. We talked about that earlier with the instructors that we just chatted with at the conference. You know, it seems like it's the mediocre people who are trying to make the names for themselves, and they got to poke their chest out the biggest. And it's like what that everybody that sees that going on is like,
yeah, that's
what
not going to make that name.
Yeah, what
that's
are you doing?
That's very, and that's you were talking about it being in the fight. I don't see it in the fight gym as much. Like in Mr. Maynard's gym, I rarely ever see it because we spar so much.
Yeah, that's almost instantaneous feedback too.
That's exactly right.
I mean, so it's
exactly right.
Yeah.
If you come in with that attitude, you will spar someone in there. I'm telling you, there's monsters in there, and they will humble you.
Yeah.
And that's the difference in like the gun thing and the sparring thing. Like you can fight people in the gym. Like we can all fight, and we can see. We can't run around having gunfights. So how are you going to prove it?
Right.
How are you going to prove that you're a great shooter?
I don't even think it's humbling. If it's a humbling experience to be showed up that way, if you approach it with the mindset of being humbled. Otherwise, the killers in the gym and everything else, they're not humbling that person; they're exposing that person.
Oh yeah,
which is embarrassing.
Yeah, I bet y'all never have that in fire stuff, right? In trainings.
Yeah, Steve will put somebody on their knees right now.
Stop it.
Oh, yeah.
You stop it. Little quiet Steve over here. You stop it. You quit it. No, but I'm sure y'all see that all the time, though, whenever y'all are doing your drills and stuff like that, right? Like, people do probably come in with the chest out thing, and then things are a little harder than what they thought or something. Like,
yeah, or they they kind of skate around, if you will. So if the object is to push this cup across the table as efficiently as possible, they'll kind of skate around to maybe outskirt the improficiencies in what they can do. So they'll come up with an excuse, or they'll make an excuse for the lack of proficiency, which in our world is a big deal. Yeah, training on the training grounds, it's not technically such a big deal, but improper or repetitive failure without correction results in 2 seconds in deploying a hose line where somebody might not live because of that 2 seconds.
Got it.
And that's just an excuse that we can't have. So probably in the fight gym, it's a lot easier to expose, and it's kind of necessary and it's to be expected. But with the softening of culture and everything that there is nowadays, it's a little tougher. So you're lucky in the sense that you don't have to worry about hurting people's feelings.
It's true.
So
that's true.
I'm envious of that. We continuously have to worry about hurting
Yeah.
people's feelings and
You
how
can
they might
crush
feel.
feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get to go to HR
So,
again.
so how does it play into you guys? Like, I constantly run into people have a hard time understanding or believing, or maybe wanting to believe, like that I am a proficient shooter and like I train people how to shoot like safely and effectively, but I don't have any real credentials. So like it would be right. Well, hear me out. So it would be like military law enforcement, things like that. Like since they ask me over and over, like especially the older guys for some reason, I don't know why, but they ask me, you've never been you weren't prior military, or you've never been a cop or anything like that? No,
You've
man.
never shot anybody in the face, so
Right.
how can you possibly be good at shooting this
That's
paper?
exactly right. You know, I don't. I understand it. I understand the thought process, but do understand that a lot of times some of the best people that you can learn from are people that enjoy whatever they're doing. Like it's their hobby, and they got good at it. They developed it because it was their hobby or it was their escape, right? Like it was something they enjoyed. I don't ever claim to be anything that I'm not. I will tell you, though, I have a lot of confidence in my ability to make people better. And my goal is always to make people better than me. I just had a guy yesterday, the Matt guy, so the Jack dude, came out there and shot very well, right? Like unexpectedly well, because we had never shot together, and he was very humble about, I shoot a little bit this and that, but he had a great base whenever he got there, and within an hour we had him, his base was even better, and it made me, I felt. I had trained for a little while before he got there, so like I was already a little bit tired. I'm going to go ahead and throw that excuse out there, but
nice.
I felt the pressure, which is what I want. I want that pressure, and I started fucking up. I started shooting worse,
Right.
Because I felt the pressure from him doing better. I was like, oh shit, like I want to keep it together. You know what I mean? But this is good.
Can't outshoot me.
That's exactly right.
Right.
We
Yeah.
need this. Like we need that pressure on us, and every now and then we need that check, that ego check, that reality check. Like you guys, we always say at the fight gym, one of the best things I ever heard from Mr. Maynard. He's always said the hardest thing about becoming an older man is young men fear you less.
That's
And
right.
The fire thing will be I don't know if it's the same way or not, because I ask people about y'all all the time. Y'all don't know this, but I'm like constantly, if I know that people are interacting with Firehouse that y'all are at, or interacting with y'all's people, I always ask them, without me even saying I know y'all, I ask them what they think of y'all. Like, what do you think of this guy or this? And they never have anything negative to say about either one of you.
Ooh, you're just asking the wrong people then.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
They must not know us.
Maybe so. They don't know you. They don't know you good enough yet.
I think 79% think I'm an asshole.
That's okay,
Yeah.
but they may say you're an asshole, but they say you're a good captain. It's captain, correct? They say you're a good captain, like, and that's you're still driving, correct?
Yes.
And they say that you're good at what you do. You are in a good place for what you're doing right now. Like, I think that's all we can ask for. Like, is to be good at our job. My job is to make people better. I'm damn good at that. I'm not a very good shooter. I'm really good at making you a better shooter. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is our role.
Yeah, you were speaking earlier about the credentialing and stuff like that. Back when I was shooting 3-gun pretty heavy, there was 2 guys that were probably still are. I've been out of that scene for a minute, but probably still are the greatest of all time when it comes to 3-gun competition. And they were not military. They were not law enforcement. They were hobbyists. And they made a new living for themselves by going and teaching special forces guys how to shoot.
Yeah,
it
man.
had less to do with, they didn't teach them tactics. They didn't teach them stuff like that. They taught them shooting. And this guy is the greatest on the planet at doing that. There's something we can learn from him.
This is the way he just worded that is exactly how I'm going to start wording it. I'm not here to teach you tactics. I'm
Yeah.
here to teach you how to shoot a gun.
That's right.
Safely and effectively. That's great.
Yeah. I'm not the guy for tactics. Like, I'm not the guy to teach. I'm not the guy to teach our engine companies on how to deploy hose. I've been on a ladder truck since 2009, but I can teach you how to cut a hole in a roof better if you're ever asked to. I can teach you how to search or bang ground ladders or whatever, because that's what I do. I need to learn how to pull hose better. I'm definitely guilty about it.
I need to pull hose better. For sure. Yeah. I think we all need to pull hose a little better, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
So-
All the firefighters out there, y'all feel me? Yeah.
Pull more hose.
Well, yes, you can never pull enough hose. Let's be honest about it.
I know you're pressed for time. Is there? Did we get everything on your notes?
Yeah. So the majority of what I have here is just kind of going through multiple different states, and I kind of touched on them just briefly as we were going through it. But multiple different states have so many things going on right now. Like, if anybody's following, did you know Washington State just implemented another assault weapons ban as well? So like we can't really do anything with weapons right now. Now with Washington. Now the issue with that is they're fighting it right now, obviously, because they have to prove. And I've got my notes here just so I make sure I get this right, but. In this House bill, it has to be proven for this to like make law and like stay in place. It has to be proven that the AR-15s or that these assault weapons are dangerous and unusual. Dangerous and unusual. So the argument is an AR-15. What would be your number that you think? Like how many AR-15s do you think are floating around America? Just America.
Millions. There's got to be a lot.
Tens of millions.
Yeah.
They're saying just pistol braces, there's probably upwards of 40 million pistol braces in America. So imagine how many...
That's a number, man.
Imagine how many AR-15s, just standard rifle AR-15s there are floating around. So would you say that an AR-15 is unusual? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Dangerous? Yeah. So is your car. So is your bicycle. So is your skateboard. Absolutely dangerous. However, unusual... I'm going to say probably not. So I'm very curious to see if Washington can hold what they're doing. And Illinois is going to have to prove the exact same thing because Illinois is trying to do the assault weapons ban. And you know how well the gun ban is done with like Chicago and places like that. So I'm sometimes whenever I say things, I only say it so that I can look over and watch him give me the turkey eye. Like a turkey
works
does
well in Chicago and New York and California. They all work well there.
So if you guys haven't looked into it already, speaking of New York is fighting the Supreme Court, I believe, right now because the Supreme Court keeps saying. So are y'all familiar with New York State versus Bruin? New York State versus Bruin.
Nope.
That was like a year or two ago. So maybe it was longer than that now, but that was a case that basically said that like New York has been keeping people from being able to defend themselves under the Second Amendment with handguns, right? With their concealed carry, that they wouldn't let people get concealed carries and things like that. So they were keeping people from being able to defend themselves with firearms. So New York State v. Bruin basically said that like that was unconstitutional and that New York has to start coming up with a system where people can get a concealed carry permit again, whether it be through concealed carry courses or whatever it is that they decide to do. And New York State is still, the state of New York is still fighting them, like still saying they're not going to do it. They are defying the Supreme Court, bro. Like how do people not get in trouble for not, if I didn't do what the court told me to do, where would I be?
In jail.
In jail.
Yeah.
So how is it that an entire state can defy the Supreme Court? This whole like baby back bitch defy everything mentality has really it's like confusing to me. Like I don't understand how they're still getting away. So right now they're fighting the Supreme Court because they don't want to. And New York finally has a win with that New York State v. Bruin. But the cool thing about that win is it's saying that like we all in the U.S. Not just New York. They're saying that, like, in the U.S., we have the right to be able to protect ourselves under the Second Amendment with a firearm. But there's a lot of states that are, they're still fighting it. So there's not much that you can really do about states that want to defy until there's some kind of something, that there's some kind of
resolution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're defying the Supreme Court, you don't really fear anyone.
It's the same as businesses and whatnot who don't allow concealed carry. I mean, you have the ability to make a choice. You can either abide by the rules or just shop somewhere else.
True story.
You can go to New York if you want and not carry your gun, or you can just not go to New York at all. So I understand it's important for the people here and everywhere else to kind of pay attention to what's going on, but at the end of the day, it's still your choice. If you don't like the gun laws that are happening in New York, I mean, okay, don't go to New York.
I agree. So. One thing that I wanted to bring up as well, recently a lot of people were asking me about, I don't know if you guys saw on the table here in North Carolina, one of the bills on the table was a constitutional carry bill. Did you see that was back up for grabs like a week or two ago?
Yep.
That got struck down. One of the Tom somebody, I can't remember the guy's last name, but he kind of, as soon as it went up, he basically struck it back down, saying that like we didn't need to go into this right now because we just passed the new law where like people don't have to get pistol purchase permits. I don't know if you guys followed that one as well, but now we basically in the gun stores they do like a background check on the spot, just like they've been doing with rifles and shotguns. People don't have to get a pistol purchase permit if they don't have a concealed carry. So he was saying that like since we just did that, we don't need any more 2A legislation right now, so we don't need to worry about this constitutional carry thing. Well, behind the scenes, as you look more and more into it, the NRA had a lot of influence on that decision as well. Now, Matt Hoffman, let me ask you, and I try not to get into these because when I'm talking to a big audience like this, I try to stay objective. But I cannot hide the fact that I think the NRA is slime in a lot of ways. So I do want to ask you, sir, what are your thoughts on the NRA striking down the constitutional carry, like being a big factor in striking down the constitutional carry in North Carolina?
Well, that's, I mean, the root of all evil is the money green. I mean, is the color green. So the more pistols that are sold is less rifles that are being sold, which is in their name, National Rifle Association.
Okay.
So they're advocates of bringing awareness and bringing popularity to their name.
Okay.
I agree with you in the fact that the NRA is, for the majority, that's 99.9% slime. They're just political lobbyists, essentially, just like Walmart and Target and every other massive organization. They're the same. They're no different, but they seem to serve the people less and their objectives more. So I think probably that was set into motion so they'll sell less pistols. They like rifles.
I'm shocked to hear that. Like I never would have dreamed that I would have heard that.
So let me run this by you. Whenever we have to get our credentials for becoming concealed carry instructors, who we got to take first? Whose classes do we have to take first and pay that couple $100 or whatever?
NRA.
Exactly.
I had to go to NRA. Had to go through the NRA courses before I was even able to go to
See where I'm going with this?
to the Justice Academy
Exactly.
people.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So if we make it constitutional carry where everybody can carry and they don't have to take these NRA courses anymore,
then you lose all that revenue.
exactly right. So that's what it boils down to, with a lot of these. That's exactly right. With a lot of these decisions, that are being made.
Even the renewal process for us is just
You still have to have your NRA every year.
Yeah, but you pay it. You pay money, and that's it. There's no. There's no JPRs. There's no evaluation if you're doing. That's not controlled by the NRA. That's controlled by the Justice System.
Academy.
Yeah, the
That's
Justice
exactly right.
Academy and all that. They're the ones that are going to audit you, not the NRA.
Correct. But to keep your concealed carry instructor certification, you also have to keep your NRA certification.
Absolutely.
Which you have to update. I think once a year, once every 2 years. I can't recall.
Every two.
two. But it's the same thing. Like it's that same racket where they lose all of that income, so they don't want you to be able to keep to get. Now the other side of that is, and I do. Let me get off my high horse. Because I'm the one that's always preaching about training. So, like, if you take away the concealed carry course and make it so that people just constitutional carry, they don't have motivation to train. They don't have motivation to go take that course. And I see the light bulbs come on. I know you have as well. Whenever we talk about the laws side of that course, especially, not just the actual training side, but like the law side, people are like, oh my God, I didn't know you couldn't shoot people for just trespassing on your property. Like I thought you could go outside and somebody was just
They're on your property,
on your lawn,
or if they're stealing your lawnmower
That's
or your
right.
car, or any
you
of
just
that
go out there
stuff.
with guns
Yeah.
blazing and shit.
Yeah.
so this is it's very good for that reason. So I'm torn, obviously, but I do see that like money runs everything, and once you have something that's as big a force as the NRA, they can sway these opinions that like affect you and me and like keep people from being able to have these freedoms. And I do understand, like I said before, I am so pro train, right? Like I am the guy that will tell you need to be training, and it's good that we have a concealed carry course. But it does kind of irk my nerves just a little bit, whenever you see that you lose freedoms because these people would lose some money in the process.
I have a naive understanding I'll run by. Your lack of hope in humanity that if they take the rule away, then nobody will hire a trainer or learn the rules. If there's rules in place and walls set up that everybody has to follow these rules, then I feel like that they rely on the rule, and so they feel like they can't do wrong, because if I just obey the rules, then I'm doing the right thing by default of not doing the wrong thing. I think I have a hope that if you get rid of the walls that don't really even make sense, then people would want to seek training, and now there's no rules, so it's just an open, free world. So, I better train and get good at this.
Man, that'd be cool.
Maybe it's naive.
Yeah, it'd be neat if and speaking on the laws part of what you were just saying, the laws section and the laws part is not taught in any NRA curriculum. It's only in concealed carry,
Right.
Which is laws that every gun owner should know. Period. It would be neat if the NRA would get on with saying, "Hey, your Second Amendment right, you shouldn't have to have a concealed carry permit. You know, it's your right to have a gun. It's your right to be able to conceal it if you so choose. That's your right. But here is some training curriculum that you should be aware of. There's some things I guarantee you that you don't know. And then push that stuff as much as they push the purchasing of permits and the money side of things. Push the curriculum, push the training side just as hard.
I agree.
And I think you'll get a more buy-in, because anybody who's serious about being able to proficiently shoot a handgun, whether it be sport, hunting, self-defense, whatever, if they're serious about it, then they're going to find the training. So why not make that as easy as possible?
I agree. I just, and I've got to kind of finish up with this one because I've got to get out of here. But did you guys see that Biden just put in, it was like 13, I think, executive orders or something along those lines about
I'm nervous.
trying to get, it was basically around gun safety is what he was saying. Like he's trying to make schools safer with gun regulation, right? I can't recall the 13, but they all revolved around like government webinars and information and like places that kids can go to read about things and like teaching kids about safety or things like that. Nowhere in those actions did he say anything about like putting more security in schools or like taking schools from being a soft target to making it a hard target. Do you understand? Like these are things that we don't like to talk about. And I cringe, even today I was like very nervous about coming on here and even talking about the G word, the gun stuff. Right. Because, we feel so, like we are, as gun people or gun owners, we feel like we are bad people. We're made to feel like we're bad people and like that's a bad word and we shouldn't talk about it anywhere. But it's not that way. Like this is literally one of the things that our country was founded on. And the vast majority of people are pro-gun like us. We're just not the loudest. I can't understand why. And this is what you were saying with information being available to adults. I absolutely agree with. Now they're talking about putting this information out there to kids and saying, hey, you kids read this stuff and it's going to make our schools safer. You're less likely to do something really stupid, with a firearm. I don't agree that just giving them the information is the way. And I say this because I work in the schools and I work with these kids, not when they're in school and they're on school. I work with them after school whenever like we're doing dances or I'm doing proms or and like they can, talk shit to me just like they talk shit to anybody else because I'm just I'm the DJ, right? Like why do they care? And I see how they disrespect me and I know the songs that they're asking for and I know what these songs are talking about. You putting any kind of educational, like if they don't want to read it, they're already not reading their math book. They're not going to read this webinar on a government website, right? Like we have to be slightly more proactive, I think, in a lot of these things than just kind of with adults, we can put the information there and we can say, hey, here's this, you need to pay attention to this. Kids don't understand how important these things are yet. Like they don't have any idea. You have to be more proactive and try and get to that ground level if at all possible. We're not going to get into like how to save the world right now, but nowhere in those executive actions did he ever say anything about, and we're going to up security. At some point, you have to make things secure for them to be secure.
Have to make it not easy.
That's exactly right.
The consequences have to be greater.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
So if you want to educate kids on what happens with guns and bad decisions they make by taking guns to school and that, then what needs to be advertised and what needs to be blasted everywhere is the consequences of when that action takes place.
It's true.
Not prevention. Not let's get in front of this, and hopefully they'll educate it, but it'll work as an education piece because they care. The ones who would take the time to be educated on a government website are not the ones committing the
Absolutely
faults.
right.
So you have to blast the consequences. This is a incentivized world we live in now. So the incentive in this side would be you won't end up like these people.
That's exactly right.
That's a good incentive,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A one-page cheat sheet. Like, if this happens, then this will happen.
That's right.
Yeah,
For sure.
Like it should be known if you are being attacked and your life is in danger and you use deadly force to correct that problem, that shouldn't be a mystery. That should be like understood from both sides.
Right. Sure.
Like if I
This is the
attack you,
consequences.
then I'm risking my safety because I've decided that I want to hurt you.
So
that shouldn't be a mystery. Like,
It shouldn't even be a question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of us being so silenced, part of the issue right now is they're learning about this lifestyle and they're learning about firearms from the music.
Gangsters.
Exactly. And a lot of the things that they're glamorizing in these songs, they make it sound so easy and like you win every gunfight and you don't. Like, this is the part that I can tell kids don't understand. Like, they think as long as you have one, you'll win.
Right.
And that's not how this works. Like, somebody out there will absolutely, catch you and you'll have the consequences we were just talking about before. But I see that, when I DJ sometimes at like these school functions, and like they'll say, I just want you to play what the kids want. You play whatever the kids want. And even as we're getting into like proms and stuff now, they're like, we don't want you to play the edited versions. We don't want it edited. We want these kids to have fun.
Should find another DJ.
These conversations are on the verge of being had. Like you just said, it's the things that are being glamorized in a lot of this music. And I'm telling you this because there's a lot of parents out there listening.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
TikTok, and a lot of the music that's out there now, like it glamorizes the shit out of a gangbanging lifestyle, or like a lot of these things that and a lot of times we're just singing it and it's fun or whatever. We just sing that we're not really gonna do it, but are you after you hear it so many times, do you think it's normal? I have questions, and I also remember like the early '90s. Like I remember Garrett, when my brother, like I remember him listening to NWA and like some raunchy stuff back then as well. I just think drugs now are so different. Like they're so much more prevalent than which sounds weird for me to even say. I'm sure they were prevalent back then as well, but there's so many different kinds now that aren't uppers. It's not cocaine, it's downers. And that's why all these kids say, well, I'm depressed. I'm depressed all the time. Well, it's because you're doing downers, taking pills and doing downers all the time. Like, of course you're depressed.
Yeah.
So, you have to make sure that you're monitoring as parents, if possible. Try and monitor, like, what are they listening to and, like, what's it actually saying? Not just like, hey, I want to listen. There's not just a trap beat behind it. Like, they're talking about Glocks, talking about Dracos. I don't know if you know what Dracos are. No, Dracos, the little AK pistols. Tiny little AKs.
Nice.
So, when they're told something over and over, eventually it's normal.
Yeah, as much as possible is I don't like that. I don't like the verbiage of as much as possible. I have 2 children, and you can be as involved as you're willing to commit your time to be involved. I'm sure Steve can second that. If there's something slipping through the cracks, you can't say, well, I tried my best. You can't say, that's not an excuse. There's a difference between parenting and friendship. And nowadays we need parenting, not friends.
It's true.
I don't really care what my kids think of me and if they like me or whatever. I don't really care. Me and my wife are very different with that. She likes to be the cool mom. She goes into the explanation of why after every time she says no and this and that, and I love her for it. That's her nurturing job. But me as a father, I don't want to have to. I don't. And this is not every situation by any means, but sometimes there is a justification for why not or no, and then sometimes there's not. I catch you doing something on the electronic, you can go watch me use my 2A amendment and shoot holes in it. I'm serious. I mean, I have a 0 tolerance policy. Like, John Matthew will be scrolling through YouTube Shorts or something like that, and somebody will cuss, and I'll cut my eyes, and he's like, "Sorry, I didn't know." I was like, "Dude, you're going to hear that the rest of your life. You're going to be exposed to that kind of language the rest of your life. It's weird. It's I don't know. It's a weird time to be a kid. That's for sure. I can't imagine.
I agree with that. So. Now, they talk about we had 2 incidents here in town recently. Not going to say what or where, but there was 2 gun incidents recently where like guns were taken to school fairly close to each other. So I do have, obviously there's a lot of questions surrounding stuff like that, but people, their first answer was always like to put metal detectors at the schools, and then everybody's like, oh my God, you want to make it a prison? In the early 90s, like, they had to do the metal detectors things then. Like, this is not a new technology or a new thing or something that's going to make it a prison or whatever. Like, I don't know if you guys ever look at charts, like if you look at a chart that says like crime rates over the last 30 years, it will show you a wave, like a literal wave that goes up first and then down, 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 and then it spikes back up. It starts spiking back up at the end of it. So this is like in the early 90s, right after the, oh my word, there was a law that somebody put into place where like they released a bunch of prisoners from, I believe it was Cuba. I'm going to mess this up. Mariana Boat Lift. So they released a bunch of like drug dealers and prisoners from, I believe it was Cuba, and they went all along the East Coast wherever they could get to, right? Moved all along the East Coast, and they started all these drug rings on up and down the East Coast. I wasn't there. This is from me studying this because I look at these graphs all the time. So this was like late 80s, early 90s. Well, peak of violent crime, like the worst violent crime rates that we've ever seen since we started tracking it, was like 91, 92. Did you guys have you heard your parents say anything about like feeling unsafe or anything like that in the early 90s?
I remember in 91 there was a riot at school, Noble.
Really? I've never heard this answer. Everybody's like, I asked my dad. He was like, I didn't feel unsafe. I didn't feel anything. I was like, cool, Dad, because this was the highest violent crime rate that we've ever seen, right? And then it goes down, 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 down from like 94 to 2019, and then we had obviously the pandemic, and now everybody's wilding out and acting stupid again, and it's obviously going back up. But we have to kind of watch. There's a direct correlation, and I don't know which happens first, but like in the early 90s. The violent crime was way up, and we saw the violent music come out. Like, music got very violent, and it got kind of dark, right? Like, we saw grunge come out of it, and we saw the NWA come out of it. We saw a lot of things that were bad. And as it kind of goes down and people start kind of, freaking out a little bit less or whatever, we're seeing this steady decline. And y'all look this up. Like, literally, you can find this FBI statistics online anywhere if you Google it. And then as we get into the pandemic, music starts getting more violent again. People are unhappy, quote unquote. Are you unhappy, or are you ingesting things? That would be my question. But now violent crimes starting to go back up again. So I would say, if you see things like this and these make you uncomfortable, and this is like the last thought that I've got to get out of here because we just keep talking. We do this. We just talk. If you see things like this and these are concerning to you for whatever reason, like you're scared. You're scared of violent crime. You're scared of what's going on in the world. Well, what is the answer? If you're afraid, how do you make that fear subside?
Protect yourself.
Train.
Become more prepared.
Become more prepared. I tell people all the time, like, you need to make yourself the weapon so that whatever you're given is your tool that you can use. Like, you can use any tool that you need to use. A tomahawk.
Yeah.
We both went there at the same time. If you make yourself prepared for any situation, you create your body as the weapon, then you don't have these fears anymore. I don't have these fears because I know that, like, I'll fight my way in or out of whatever I need to, and if it's too much, it's too much. I did everything I could possibly do. Right? I prepared myself in every way I possibly could, and if I end up don't win the battle, I don't win the battle. However that comes out.
It is what it is. Where can people find you directly to get in touch with you for training?
Yeah, easiest way is through Facebook. Always. DB Private Training is on Facebook, and I set up an Instagram, but man, Instagram does not like me, bro.
Right.
I've done that like 4 or 5 times, and they the first thing they do is like they'll mute, what do they call it, shadow ban or whatever.
Right.
So like nobody sees you, and then eventually they just start like deleting your stuff. So Facebook's usually the easiest way, and then DaneBritt.com.
Oh snap! Here
Yes,
we
if you
go.
go to and if you go to DaneBritt.com, it's got like different subheadings for each thing that I do. So there's like the stunt show stuff, and there's like the music stuff, the DJ stuff, the firearm stuff. There's a little bit of all kinds of things on there, but that's an easy way to email me as well. But highly, if you guys comment on this below, will you guys be doing this on? Where is this getting posted?
everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Where?
Spotify.
Spotify.
YouTube.
Spotify,
Yep.
Apple.
Sweet.
Yep.
Which of those places can people comment on?
Spotify is probably
All of them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You can comment on everywhere.
Okay, well, y'all comment below the video, and if y'all want to hear more of this kind of talk, like talking about gun things, or like whether it be laws or whether it be tactics, no kidding, whether it be like, we were talking about calibers and stuff like that. Like if y'all want to hear more of these discussions about this stuff, let us know. Like I was very nervous. I don't know if you guys were nervous. I'm very nervous now, like about doing this, because you never know how the G word is going to play out. So comment. Let us know.
YouTube and Spotify. Those are the two easiest for us to read the comments. So,
Excellent.
Yep.
Let's do it. YouTube or Spotify.
Perfect. Dane, pleasure as
Dude.
always, my
Yeah.
dude.
Thank you.
Take care, brother.
Thanks for coming.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. Do us a favor, slide over to iTunes or Spotify or YouTube. Leave a 5-star review and leave a comment. If you want to support further, share it with somebody. Ask them to like, subscribe, and share it with their friends. If they can benefit from it, we need to spread it out. The more you like and comment, the more visible we are on all these platforms when people are just searching Firefighter Podcast. It'll come up Primary Complete a little bit quicker, and they won't have to dig quite so far to find us. We really appreciate that. Visit the website. It's a pretty good site. It's got all kinds of fun links and stuff. You can also find the shows there on the website as well, and that's www.primarycompletepodcast.com. Thank you all so much for your support. Again, we love you. Thank you for helping us make conversation great again.